Vanessa, let's come back to you then. We've talked about Gaza, but you've been hinting for, or in fact, going much further than hinting for quite some time now, that the likelihood of serious trouble in Lebanon. What's the, related to the Syria situation? What's the latest on that?
Yeah, so first of all, let's just play this video and I'll talk over it. So these are Takfiri elements controlled by Julani, or Ahmed al-Sharaa, as he's now known, as the unelected president of Syria, backed by the UK and US coalition, and of course by Israel. These are basically gathering to take up position on the border with Lebanon. If we have a very quick look at the map of Lebanon, I've pointed out there the red arrows down to the east of the Lebanese border with Syria, as effectively the two top arrows are where these Takfiri elements, most of them the foreign fighters, so the Uyghurs and the Chechens and the Afghans and so on, that have been sent to these borders in the northeast and the east of Lebanon. And then in the southeast, of course, we have the Israeli encampment on Mount Hermon, which is effectively on Syrian territory, but as you can see, overlooks as far as Beirut on a good day. And then to the far south of Lebanon and up to Seder and to Beirut, you have the threat of further Israeli incursions and an increase or an intensification in the Israeli bombing. And then, in fact, just yesterday, if we play this video, this demonstrates that there are Takfiri cells gathering in Lebanon. There was one captured in the north of Lebanon a few days ago, and this is in Dahe, in the southern suburb of Beirut, where the local people actually detected an ISIS cell of terrorists who were gathering with weapons and materials to conduct suicide bombings or IED bombings in the southern suburb. And of course, this is during the month of Muharram, which is one of the most holy months for Shia Muslim in particular, and coming up to the night of Ashura, which is the night that Imam Hussein was martyred at Karbala. And that's on Saturday. So obviously we're bracing for the potential of attacks here in Lebanon. And then we have, this is Tom Barrack, basically Trump's envoy to Syria, who's also been parachuting into Lebanon. Barrack's proposal marks 2 pivotal weeks for the Lebanese state. So what does this actually mean? Of course, he's also been shoring up the Julani presidency in Syria. This is from Lebanese journalist Marwa Osman, who many people will probably know. And what does she actually say? So what is the US demanding from Lebanon? So disarmament, full disarmament of Hezbollah within the next 2 weeks, which of course is not going to be accepted. And that goes beyond UN Resolution 1701, which was a withdrawal from south of the Litani River to the north of the Litani River. But now Barrack is basically saying no, full disarmament, normalization with Israel, with Syria and Lebanon, handing of Lebanon over to Julani, which explains the buildup of the troops on the border. And the cost of rejecting the deal is far less than accepting it. So that's the gauntlet laid down there by Marwa Osman. And of course, what they're also attacking is the Hezbollah banking system, because many people don't, how it's portrayed in the West is that Hezbollah is raising money to fund its terrorist activities, or in our view, their resistance activities against Zionist invasion and occupation of regional land. And in reality, what people do, and it's not only the Shia Muslims in Lebanon, they take their gold to the Hezbollah banks. The gold is kept and a loan is given without any interest payments at all. And when the loan is paid back, they can come and get their gold back. So this is a no-interest banking policy, which they're looking to shut down in favor of course, organizations like the IMF and the World Bank and American-backed financial institutions. And then, of course, on the back of this, we have Trump signs an executive order lifting the majority of sanctions on Syria. And then this is the Zionist author, Barrack Javid, I think. Behind the scenes, Israel is communicating with Syria through at least 4 different channels, including Netanyahu's national security advisor, Mossad director, Foreign Minister Gideon Saar for political strategic dialogue, and the Israel Defense Forces for day-to-day military coordination. So this is quite extraordinary. Syria appears to be heading towards being effectively a satellite state of Israel. And then finally, we also have operations ongoing in Iraq. 3 suspected ISIS members were killed in a Kirkuk operation in Iraq in the last 48 hours. So ISIS has clearly been deployed and triggered in Iraq to attack the resistance factions there. And if we have a look at the kind of map of the region, you can see the filled in red circle is where the attacks by ISIS against Iraqi resistance factions took place near Kirkuk, again, very close to the Iranian border. Syria, in the view of the Zionist alliance, has been taken out of action. That remains to be seen. Of course, there are still resistance factions acting inside Syria, and the Syrian army soldiers that left into Iraq and Lebanon when Damascus fell in December last year. But you can see there that basically what Trump and Netanyahu are now doing, the ceasefire has allowed them to pivot back to try and weaken the 2 strongest resistance zones, which is Lebanon and Iraq, prior to then probably restarting the war against Iran. And I mentioned last week that we've started a blog or a section of the blog at UK Column News called Syria Centric, a regional analysis. And this week I'll be looking at the Iranian-backed Ring of Fire and all of the resistance factions that would be activated should there be a restart of aggression by Israel and the US alliance against Iran. And that should be published and up at the website tomorrow.
Thank you, Vanessa. I mean, just very, very briefly, what are your expectations on that last point? When do you think it's likely that aggression will start against Iran once again?
Very difficult to tell. There's potential for false flag on American soil, but I think for now they're going to focus, as I said, on weakening and destroying the resistance in Lebanon and Iraq initially.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, let's come back to the UK then.